Welcome to the ExecMBA podcast. I'm your host, Brett Twitty, and you are listening to a new episode. On this episode of the podcast, I'm excited to share my recent conversation with Matt Bartles. Matt is a second-year student in our Executive MBA class of 2025, and he and I recently connected to talk more about his background, his decision to pursue an MBA, the impact of his Darden experience, and so much more. I think you're really going to enjoy this conversation. And as always, if this conversation is helpful for you, please like this episode and subscribe to the ExecMBA podcast so you never miss an update. And remember, you can always check the episode description for links to Darden blogs, social channels, and more. And now, without further ado, here's my conversation with Matt Bartles. Matt, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. It's nice being here.
It's great having you here. How's everything going? How are you doing?
Everything is great. We're staying warm in Richmond. We've had more snow than I can recollect here in the Richmond area. And so the kid is enjoying some hot cocoa. And I'm doing some project work while relaxing in my warm socks.
That's awesome. No snow here in the Northern Virginia area. It's really weird. Like Charlottesville has snow, Richmond has snow. We do not have anything here in Roslyn.
Oh, wow! I would have expected you would have gotten a little bit more. It seems to have gotten most of the East Coast.
And I know, a little pocket here. It's 72 degrees and sunny right now. You should know that.
Are you serious?
No, I'm not. I'm not serious.
It's like, oh my God, it was like 24 degrees outside when I let the dog out.
Yeah, we have the temperature, just no snow. So it's great to see you here. And thanks so much for taking some time out of your day for this conversation. It's hard to believe you're almost done with the program. How does that feel?
I am of a mixed mind on it. I love the learning experience and I love my peers. I really do. And so, towards the end, I'm still on that learning curve and I'm still really enjoying, especially in the electives where I'm really chose a cool path of working on communication, working on entrepreneurship. And so it's coming towards a bitter end. So I'm going to miss the month or the weekends I get to spend with my peers. I'm going to miss the instruction. However, I am going to enjoy rebalancing my schedule a little bit and getting some of my hobbies back. This has been an intense program and it's been worth it, but I'm ready to throttle down a little bit, balance the schedule, get some of the hobbies back. And but I'm still going to continue to seek out the advice and company of my peers. This has been one of the best experiences of Darden has been the relationships I've formed with my peers and some of my instructors.
Very much in the elective phase of the program, as you mentioned. Have you had any electives that you particularly enjoyed or that you're really looking forward to? I know you've got maybe another quarter or so left here.
Geez. I'm really looking forward to storytelling with data. This is something I have seen wielded to a great effect in consulting. And so just a great infographic, a great story told with data really coalesces people around the problem and really gets people in the solution space. So I'm really excited to up my skills in storytelling with data. And then leading with influence, Sean Martin, he's been a phenomenal professor in the leadership courses, the core curriculum. Having him as an elective and working on leading with influence, I really think that's an opportunity for me to up my influence skills. And so the electives have really formed around how do I continue to up influence leadership in the entrepreneurship domain. And so very excited about the next quarter.
All right. Then you'll be back in Charlottesville for LR2.
Yeah. I'm really excited about that too. Love the hotel. And I just love having a week where I'm really just focusing on leadership and spending time with my peers. We've developed great relationships over the past couple of years. And so this LR is a great capstone event. I'm really looking forward to it.
Well, Matt, thank you again. Let's talk a little bit more about you and your background. So tell us about you. Who are you?
Yeah, I'm an operations and technology consultant. I specialize in using automation technology, AI to enhance business operations. I took an unconventional path to get to consulting. I started out my career as a nuclear submarine officer. And that really started to impress upon me the importance of managing complexity and having high quality operations. It's a very high stakes environment. And so it instills those things upon you. I took those skills, I took them to Capital One. I started out as a business analyst, and I was working on the machine learning models to help understand customer behavior and help with marketing and help with acquisition. So I spent a number of years there and took a pivot to operations. And that's really where I started to hit my stride in financial services, is taking the data-driven approach, taking the technology-first approach to operations. And where I really hit my stride and my career really started to accelerate is when I started to discover low-code automation. We started to experiment with that, and I started to automate a lot of business processes. And that was something that caught fire across Capital One, and we really started to change the culture around doing things manually to doing things in an automated fashion. So we were able to speed operations, the spread. We established an automation center of excellence. And after this, we were automating nearly 1 million hours of work each year. And so we're very proud of that time there. And I took that, I wanted to expand the impact, and so I pivoted to consulting. I took a role at a boutique consulting firm, and I founded their automation practice. And so I built that up over about 3 years, and that was a phenomenal learning experience. Also, where I discovered I needed some more education. And through consulting is really what led me to Darden, to really start to fill in some of the gaps that I had, so that I could be a more successful consultant. And so after 3 incredible years of doing that, I decided to be an independent consultant. I founded Andromeda AI, named after my daughter. And I've been tackling business problems using AI and automation while finishing up the MBA.
A couple things to ask you about. For folks who don't know, what is low-code automation? What is that?
A lot of people have barriers in their minds to using technology to solve their problems because they think, I'm not a coder. I can't code, so I have this great idea for an app. I have this great idea for a way to automate my work, but I can't do it because I don't know code. And so what low code does is it abstracts out the semantic coding that you see flying on screens in the matrix, and it gives you drag and drop tools so that you can piece together your own technology. And so it democratizes the ability to automate business operations. That's low code automation. And an example would be a frontline associate in a bank, somebody who's working back office operations. They're going through spreadsheets, they're fixing your accounts. We've all called up a customer service representative, had a weird issue, and it goes to a back office. And those are the associates who understand the problems customers face the best, the people who are working in it day in and day out. But they're also the people who aren't enabled with technology very much because a lot of times their processes don't scale. And so by empowering a back office associate with low code, they can automate their activities right there, right then, without having any other technological resources. And this is a huge enabler. And so we took this technology, spread it across operations at Capital One, and we did what we call a citizen developer first approach, meaning the people closest to the problems are the one who have the technology resources to solve it. And the way to do that was with low code, because you're just not going to teach an entire company how to be coders. It's not practical.
Curious about your consultancy that you've launched. How did you decide that you wanted to launch your own venture?
A lot of that confidence to be able to take that leap came from the Darden program. And so the reason I sought out the Executive MBA was because as I started to work with senior leaders, having gone from corporate to consulting, I could see their holistic approaches to problems and the depth of their thinking, and the fact that many of them also had MBAs. I could tell I was going to be limited by my lack of education here. And I really aspired for higher levels of growth, and I really didn't want to be boxed into being the technology guy. And so that's really why I sought out Darden. And through that, I started to get that knowledge, and that really built my confidence in order to be able to look at executives and do business development, understand their problems holistically, and present solutions so that I can viably offer consulting services to them. And so, but my path to doing that was through Darden. And I would thank a lot of the professors, especially entrepreneurship ones, who really gave me the confidence to take that leap. And it's been a ride. I wouldn't have been able to survive the ride of being an independent consultant without the foundation established in the executive program.
Obviously, you have a consultancy that's focused on AI, which is like very much a hot topic right now. It seems like
Yeah,
everybody's talking about artificial intelligence. What got you interested enough in artificial intelligence and to say like, this is what I'd like to do with my consultancy?
it was necessity, Brett. That's the mother of all innovations is necessity. And so AI had always been adjacent to operations, meaning you had natural language processing, you had document understanding, but the big bang for the buck was using automation to automate human repetitive work. That was the biggest ROI I could get for businesses, Capital One clients for the longest period of time. And then about 2.5 years ago, AI really started to explode, and the aperture on what could be done with AI opened up so large it sucked into automation. And for us, it was about necessity. I had to pivot from automation into AI because that's where the customer's interests were, and that's where the capabilities were going. And so I dove into AI passionately because I think it's something that can truly elevate people and add a lot of additional agility, capabilities, and excitement back into the workplace. And so we dove into this very passionately because that's where we saw the client needs going, and that's where we saw the industry going. And I think that's been very correct. If you look at automation, that industry is starting to really slow. It had reached peak maturity probably 5, 6 years ago, and AI kind of gave it a different face and a new breath.
AI seems vast in some ways. Like there's so much to know, and it's also changing very quickly. How do you
Yes,
get up? How do you get up to speed? How do you stay up to speed on something like this?
you hit the nail on the head. It is something that is moving at light speed, and it is gigantic. And so the approach to maintaining some level of expertise in AI, and it's difficult. The first step is picking a niche. And so AI for business operations is a niche I've kind of put the stake in. Because you could go into machine learning for marketing, you could go into AI into products, you could go into AI model building, you could go into data engineering. The industry is so vast, and so picking a niche that you can solve problems with is key. The second thing is picking a platform because the platforms are changing really quickly. And so I tied my wagon to the Microsoft platform because of their relationship with OpenAI and because of 99% of my clients have Microsoft relationships. It solves cybersecurity issues, it solves integration issues. And the third thing is get your hands dirty. Work on the platforms, work with the AI, build some proof of concepts, build them for clients so they can see, what you're cooking too and see if that generates some interest. And so, by picking a niche, picking a platform, and by getting your hands dirty, you can make a lot of headway and maintain a lot of expertise. As this evolves really quickly, it also evolves very asymmetrically, meaning these large language models are evolving a lot faster than, say, some of the visual models and et cetera. And so, by doing that, I've been able to maintain expertise. The final thing I would say, though, is networking. Something I've also learned, vastly improved networking through the Darden experience. Networking with other AI automation subject matter experts has been really elevating in terms of my own knowledge because I learned from them and their experiences how their clients are reacting to the changes in technology. And so having a broad network has also been very helpful in keeping me up to date in AI.
Is there a particular trend or something in AI that you've been following that's really caught your attention that you're intrigued by or excited about?
Well, I've been really working closely with Darden um, on creating a white paper for establishing the foundations for AI to thrive. And the thing that has me really interested right now is solving the problem where most clients just aren't set up for successful AI programs. They don't have the data. Their processes aren't engineered to work in an AI environment or in some cases a technological environment. Um, they don't have really governance frameworks, and their people aren't fully ready. And in some cases, the leaders themselves aren't ready. And so, how do you establish a foundation or a platform where AI can thrive? I believe that is a virtuous study to do because that's where a lot of businesses are today. I think we read a lot about how AI is generating ROI for companies hand over fist, and there's so much excitement about it. The reality in most of my clients, my lived experience, is that really a lot of people are just still at the starting line and need to do a lot of work to be able to take off. And so that's really what's excited me. How do we accelerate adoption? And so people aren't throwing their money. We saw 3 years ago people throwing enormous amounts of money creating teams around building large language models. And today that's about a $20 service you can buy online. And so giving people a foundation to have thriving AI programs will save them money, save them heartache, and have better outcomes for clients.
Really interesting talking with Yael, leader of our professional degree programs, and also Raj Venkatesan about the AI Institute at Darden, Ethical AI Institute, I should note. In that, what they really focused on, at least as they're getting started here, is sort of around the value chain related to AI. And there's so many different things to think about when you think about artificial intelligence. For example, you have I don't know, data centers and energy demands related to that. You also have ethical concerns about how people interface with these different models. You have, what would be a good use? What would be a nefarious use for this? What about, what if these models ultimately displace jobs and cause work disruption? Like, there's so many things to think about. I mean, you could come at this conversation in so many directions. It was really fascinating to talk
It's
with you.
it's it's so multifaceted. We live in a amazing time right now, and we talk about the hype curve of AI. I don't believe it exists on a hype curve because I'm on my fourth hype curve now. I rode the automation hype curve. I rode the low code hype curve. I've ridden the agile hype curve. This is different. People are setting up ethical AI institutes at top business schools to study it, and that didn't happen on all those other hype curves. And I think that's a great place to plant a flag is in the ethics of AI, because ultimately that will be one of the last things where humans are really still pulling the levers on is what is right and what is wrong in the AI domain. And so I'm very excited about that the Lacrosse Institute. I hope my white paper helps inform some of their thinking because and I hope they continue to be a source of knowledge for this that I can use in my future endeavors.
Well, you talked about your motivations to pursue an MBA earlier, but why Darden in particular? What attracted you to Darden and the executive MBA program?
Yeah, well, I worked a lot with MBA grads throughout my career, and in working with them, one thing really got to be clear, which is where you go matters. And so I really knew I wanted to go to a top tier program that would challenge me and give me a very broad toolkit. And I was at the time recognizing that I was limited where I was in consulting by not having a more holistic understanding. So I wanted to go somewhere that would truly challenge and expand that. The other thing is, as a veteran, it was really important for me to have a school that was aligned with the GI Bill. And so Darden stood out because it is a top tier school. It is aligned with the GI Bill, which covers all of the tuition. And it also had a very strong reputation for leadership and a very tight-knit community. And I knew that going in, being in the program and being in the community, my network has expanded tenfold. When I reach out to a Darden alumni to talk about opportunities or exchange ideas on AI, I get a great response rate, and I don't have that from my other degrees. And so it was a perfect fit. It was a world-class education, fully covered by the GI Bill, the community and values lined up. And so once that alignment was made, Darden was my only choice. I was very happy to get in.
You come to Darden. What was the adjustment like to being a working professional student, adding school to what I'm sure was already a pretty full schedule?
Yes, it requires a lot of commitment and has greatly enhanced my time management skill set. My time management skill set I always already thought was very strong. And so, working a 50-hour week, and maybe that's being conservative, and then the burdens of Darden, I wouldn't call burdens because they're great learning experiences, but the overhead of Darden and having a family has required me to make a bit of sacrifice. We talked about my hobbies, and it's required me to have nearly superhuman time management skills. And I have really matured my time management skills. I am at to the point, Brett, now where I have the enough discipline to stop thinking about things when they are no longer important. That has actually been a real breakthrough for me because I'm dealing with so many inputs and so many demands that I have really matured and become disciplined on. Is this important right now? Let's put it down and let it go because I can't have another thing on my plate. And so the practice of letting things go has greatly enhanced my transition to being a Darden student and a full-time consultant and a dad. And so that has been a muscle that took some flexing to build, but I got there, and I think that's going to contribute to future success.
I'm really interested in the approach that you've taken to managing your time. So the prioritization piece, what's most important right now, I think that's very important for people entering any kind of working professional program, executive MBA or part-time MBA. But in terms of just what schedule did you follow? How did you manage your time
Well, one
through
of
the
the things we
program?
learned at Darden was the Eisenhower matrix. And I'd encourage people to look this up because it essentially is a quad chart, and you'll see a lot of those in an MBA program. And is it important? Yes or no? Isn't it urgent? Yes or no? And so if it's important or urgent, you work on it. And for me, that goes on my daily schedule. This is important. This is urgent. I have to be here at this time. I have to be presentable, and I have to have some kind of understanding of the knowledge in the domain. Um, if it's not important and not urgent, I'm letting it go. And it's not making the list. If it's urgent but not important, I may think about delegating that and see if I can, hey, can I delay? Can I delegate this? Is it something I can work on later? And so by using, the Eisenhower matrix to form my thoughts on, hey, is this important and this urgent? It does help my time management skills and then help my planning at a daily level. And I have to cancel some meetings and be very honest with people that, hey, I'm working on higher priority things. I'd love to get to you. Can I delegate here, or can we talk about this maybe next month? And so those are some of the practices that I've brought in from Darden that has enhanced my time management skills and allowed me to balance quite a heavy load.
I appreciate that. Something for people to look up, the Eisenhower
I
matrix.
have a LinkedIn post on it. You have to go back in my feed. But it's something, when I learned it at Darden, the Eisenhower matrix, and I can't remember if it was leadership communications or strategy where we looked at that. Once I saw it, I had to, give it back to the community because it's something that's been very fundamental to me deciding what to focus on a daily basis.
Garden is the case method environment you learn through these case discussions. So is that an adjustment for you?
I come at the case methodology as a natural extension of my lived experience in financial services and consulting. And so the case methodology was a no-brainer for me. I feel that a lot of times academic learning alone had fallen short in in the consulting and financial services environment, right? So I have a great data analytics background, but when I went to go build a machine learning model, there were many other issues that came into play that I had to tackle. And how do I operate with a model risk officer? How do I talk with a DA and communicate and get the data that I need and not, something that is going to skew the results? And so the case methodology was something that I was naturally drawn to, just having experienced that in my career. One of the things that came out of the case methodology that I did not expect was my peers. And hearing my peers and their perspectives and their approaches to the case methodology and getting people with different backgrounds, different styles of thinking has really opened up new tools and new approaches for me when I tackle problems now. And so just the academic lens alone and the book learning alone, while that is important, the holistic approach of the case methodology and having challenging thoughts from your peers, because some of these case discussions can get quite passionate. And I have found myself changing my mind more in some of these case discussions than at any other point in my career. And that has been a real privilege to experience because, frequently I probably could benefit from being more flexible, but just the high esteem that I hold my peers in and their articulate and structured arguments in these case things really, really has opened up a bunch of facets and how I look at things.
We had a panel discussion up here last Friday, and one of the alums on the panel, a Darden alum, a GIMBA format alum, I should note, said the case method kind of rewires your brain to think differently. Has that been your experience?
It has rewired my brain and almost given me a bird's eye view of a problem to some degree. And so, like, it's almost like a tabletop exercise. And hey, what is all the information? Who are the stakeholders? What are their motives? What's the real problem we're solving? What's the job to be done? What does success look like? And I'm thinking of things very holistically from a top-down view. My brain is wired like that. And it directly goes into work. And so, for example, I was in a meeting today. People are frustrated. The project is going poorly. And they don't know how to pull it out. And by looking at things from a 30,000-foot view, we just need somebody to come in here and tell us, hey, what is value and what is not value? And we got that person, that external perspective into the project to say, hey, here's where I think we can generate value from a client, and here's where I don't. And so this is an example of like, hey, I was able to see that the problem couldn't be solved by this group. We needed to look outside this group, get somebody who has perspective and bring that perspective into this. And I learned that through the case methodology. And I learned that really from my peers and understanding their viewpoints on problems. And by bringing people, other problem solvers into this domain, that's really how difficult problems get solved. And you learn that in the case methodology.
Matt, you're in the second year of the program, as we mentioned earlier, almost done with the program. Do you have a favorite memory from the program thus far?
I do. And at OGRs on Friday nights at the Meridian Hotel, we have game night. And about, anywhere between 5 and 10 of us play. And I actually even brought my daughter to play once. And this is a place where I've seen relationships, deep relationships develop. We share drinks, we share stories, we share worries. And I have been yearning for this for a long time. With remote work, with remote learning, and just the being a leader can be a bit lonely. This has been a breath of fresh air. And so the game nights, we spend a couple hours together, just having fun, complaining about time management, trading war stories from clients. The Friday night game night is something I'm truly going to miss, and I don't think it's going to end. Right? We're Still, a lot of us are going to be in the Northern Virginia area. Still like to host a game night, and continue those strong relationships.
I love that because one of the things people don't realize sometimes when they look at the weekend residency or on grounds residency OGR experience is they don't realize that there's functionally a campus experience embedded within it. Particularly, you think about most of the students stay in the hotel. It's a block from where you have class. People walk to and from the hotel to the class. Together as groups. There's lots of social activities that happen around the weekend residencies, Friday Night Live, oftentimes a social activity on Saturday night. There's so
To
much.
piggyback on that, Brett, that has been one of the differentiators of Darden, is the design of it is social. And that enhances your network, that enhances your learning, it enhances the perspectives you get. And I greatly appreciate that. And this is not a universal thing in all programs. I would definitely recommend prospective students take a strong look at what is the social experience of the program that you're applying for, because this has been something that I will carry with me. This is my third master's, and my other twos did not have a social experience, and frankly, I might only know one or two people from those degrees. And so where I take this is the design of the social experience at the Meridian, at the leadership residencies, at the global residencies, the academic learning and case methodology alone is a lot. The social aspects and getting to know your peers and establishing those connections, that's invaluable.
I always encourage students to think about the full value of the experience, which is not just what happens in class or with the career team. It's also all about getting to know your classmates and building those relationships.
I would say the vast majority of the classmates are bought in, right? I said, hey, maybe we only have 10 people at game night, but there's another 10 people at the bar. There's another 10 people, going to a restaurant. There's the women's network event. There's Friday night this. And so there's many things to select from that other students are hosting or groups that have naturally formed. There's study groups. And so game night was my thing, but there are many things for people to select from. And that is something that makes Darden stand apart.
Well, I'm also curious, how have your career interests evolved during your time at Darden, from where you started to obviously where you are now? There's required credit-bearing, career-focused
Yeah.
work that you do in the program, and I'm just curious how has that evolved?
Oh, that's a great question, Brent. That's a great question. So I knew I wanted to be an entrepreneur, and I viewed Darden as a way to get there, given the focus of, there's the Batten Institute and there's a lot of great entrepreneurial thinkers. Saris is a great entrepreneurial thinker, one of the best in the world, I would say, having read her things and taken her courses. Her approach with effectuation is something that is, if you want to be an entrepreneur, is a must-have. And so I would say Darden has given me a lot of opportunities to look at different career paths. And might always be entrepreneurship. It might be consulting, because consulting has an entrepreneurial bend to it. I would characterize it as Darden has really accelerated and enhanced my ability to be entrepreneurial. And so, to answer your question, how has it changed my career trajectory? What's accelerated and enhanced the entrepreneurial stuff? The vision has remained fairly constant, despite all the options that I have seen through the Career Center, through learning in courseware. And so the mindset has grown and the potential has grown.
One more questions for you here, Matt.
Sure, Brett.
w- Obviously, that sounds like one of the impacts of the program, right? It sort of accelerated this entrepreneurial path. There are other things when you look back on sort of the impact of the program thus far that stand out to you?
Yes, I have matured professionally a lot. And I felt that I came from a very mature place. But in reflection, I don't think I embraced challenge with the confidence that I do now. And so I've seen some growth in professional maturity, being able to pivot, being able to recognize challenges and not get frustrated has improved. My communication skills have greatly strengthened. This has been a direct result of the communication courses that have been part of the core curriculum and then some additional electives that I've taken. I feel that I am a much stronger communicator. And so really with additional maturity, the additional tools, the additional communication, while that doesn't guarantee success, it has given me a lot of confidence. It has given me a lot of confidence to navigate very complex situations that I face with my clients. And so, that has been part of the transformative experience.
What did you think about the electives that you picked? It's always interesting to me. Were you seeking out classes that you felt would be more challenging? Were you thinking about a particular set of classes because of, professional interests? Like, how did you choose your electives?
So there was a bunch of, looking at the list of electives, there were a bunch of paths that we could take. And so some of the peers really wanted to go down the analytical or the financial or the entrepreneurial paths. And I also think there's a strong path in communication. And so there's different electives that you could stack together to enhance your understanding of entrepreneurial finance, entrepreneurial thinking, entrepreneurship through acquisition. And so that was the kind of path that spoke most with me. And so selecting the courses really kind of just became, hey, how do I create a stack that is aligned with my interests and challenges me with courses that I don't have a lot of subject matter expertise in. And so that's really how I've navigated my electives. I've been very happy with the results. The quality of the professors has been phenomenal. I spoke about Saris as the entrepreneurial subject matter expert and her thinking and effectuation. Her class was very eye-opening. In fact, the Venture Lab reinforced some of her thinking on effectuation. And so that I really sought out brilliant professors and aligning with my career and life goals in picking electives.
Well, what are you looking forward to in the months ahead, Matt? What's next for you?
I'm really looking forward to rebalancing my schedule. I'm going to miss just the opportunity to spend time with my peers and the learning. But I also have neglected some of my creative energies that I got out through hobbies. And so one of the things I used to do before Darden, that was a necessary sacrifice, was I used to make arcade cabinets. And the arcade cabinet making is a combination of technology and woodworking. And so I would make these arcade cabinets. I would give them away. There's a foster group that has a couple of my arcade cabinets because the thing about arcade cabinets is you can't get stuck in front of them for like 20 hours. I imagine you could, but they're not as immersive as current video games, and so they're a little bit more ideal for families. And so I'd like to go back into exploring a passion that I could turn into a business. My wife has a crochet business. She goes to markets and sells crochets, and I would love to have my little arcade cabinets and joysticks. Have a little stand there. So that's something that really excites me. It's something I haven't been able to prioritize because I'm focusing on learning and focusing on career growth.
When you're building arcade cabinets, is it like some of the old school games like Pac-Man and that sort of thing? Or are you building your own
and
games?
So I don't want to get into great details, but I took existing arcade hardware and essentially put a cabinet on it, an LCD screen, some cool buttons, LED lights, and some styling, right? And so one of the things I really like to do is have asymmetric design. So you'd have a speaker on one side and some cool buttons to play with, because I believe the cabinet itself could be a toy beyond just the games in it. And so it's a great outlet for creativity. Not an inexpensive hobby, but a fun one, a really fun one. And frankly, it results in a lot of joy because kids love these things and adults love them too, because that's one thing that a person, a middle-aged person and a young person can connect on is Ms. Pac-Man. And it's I like to think of some of these old arcade games as like very sweet treats, meaning you have one or two of them, and then you're good and you kind of move on. And that's what I really like about arcade cabinets is they're fun and engrossing. It's a cabinet. It dominates your attention, but it doesn't dominate your attention so it exhausts all your time and you're sitting on the couch all day. And there's two joysticks. There's one next to each other, and so you can play with friends. And so there's a bit of a challenge and a bit of social interaction there that I find very engaging and attractive.
My favorite of all time is NBA Jam. I don't know how you feel about
Yeah.
that one.
Yeah, that's a hard game to get a hold of because it was very tightly licensed because of the players.
Yeah.
And so that's like one of the hardest games to get on an arcade cabinet is that NBA Jam, because oh God, the licensing and rights to those things is very complicated. A third party makes that one, but that would be beyond the complexity I want to put into the art.
I can imagine. Yeah, it's real players, real NBA players. That was the fun of it, right? You could pick your
Yeah.
hometown team or your favorite team, and it's two players on a team,
Yeah.
and
Oh,
oh
and then
man,
like you could do like you could do a slam dunk. You're like 25 feet in the air.
yeah,
I remember, yeah, it was a bunch of fun. And in the arcade cabinet making community, that's like don't do NBA Jam because you'll get sued, right? Like that's the that's the discussion in the forums.
important advice. Well, one last
Yeah.
question for you here, Matt. What's a piece of advice you would share with our prospective student listeners as they think about their own MBA journeys?
I want them to fully understand the commitment the program demands. It's high. It's significant an investment in time and money. I realize not everybody has the GI Bill, and it's undeniably challenging. It's a very fast-paced program. The case methodology is demanding. If you want to get a lot out of it, you have to think deeply and you have to be accepting of challenge. And so the program is very demanding, and I even underestimated it going in. And so, with the demand comes rewards. The professional growth, the personal growth is going to require a lot of work. Um, and so, I would say, Brett, with confidence, is the experience that I've had and the growth that I've had in the past 21 months feels about like 10 years of growth and experience. And I would hang my hat on that this 21-month investment has fast forwarded my thinking 10 years of what I would have gotten to naturally, fumbling around from project to project. Right. And so that level of growth is invaluable. It's going to come at at a high effort, as it should, right? Because I don't think everybody needs these skills. Not everybody wants these skills. They're in demand, but they're hard. Um, the program has really shaped me into a thoughtful and more holistic leader. I truly feel that we didn't get to talk much about that. I approach problems with a lot more humility and humanity than I once did. And I think that's something that the world needs right now, very much. And so the combination of the well-designed curriculum, we talked about the social aspect, we talk about the case aspect. There is a lot of leadership and ethical learnings here. It creates what I believe better leaders, because I believe I've become a better leader out of it. And that's not something I remember seeing so much in the advertisements. It's something I've truly felt that, 20 years into my career, I thought I was a good leader, but I really still feel like I've vastly improved. So I would leave them, hey, it's hard. It's going to require sacrifice. You will get about 10 years of growth out of it. and coming out of it, you'll be a better leader. And so that's really how I would summarize it for a potential student.
Well, Matt, thank you so much for your time today. It's great talking with you and great talking about your venture and AI and all the things you've accomplished over the course of the program. It's wonderful.
Well, thank you, Brett. It's been great. You were pivotal to getting me into this door, and you opened this door for me, Brett, and it's been a great experience. And I wanted to share that with you and give you some of my gratitude, because this is really going to elevate my career and my life. But I also intend to use it to make a big impact, right? I want to have a positive impact with these new skills that I have. And so I'm very happy to return that to the community. And so thank you very much for the opportunity to share.
Well, thank you for your kind words, Matt. Obviously, we're thrilled you came to Darden, thrilled everything that you've done here, and so appreciate your sharing your story with our listeners today.
Hey, thanks, Brett. And it's been great.
And that was my conversation with Matt Bartles, second-year student in our Executive MBA class of 2025. As always, if you have any comments, suggestions, requests, anything you'd like us to cover here on the podcast, we're all ears. We can be reached at exec, that's EXEC, MBA at darden.virginia.edu. Until next time, stay safe, be well, and thanks for listening.